Hey folks, this is Mike Tholfsen from the Microsoft Education team, and we are on the Remote Learning with Microsoft EDU webinar for today. And today's webinar is going to be super awesome and super special because today we've got a bunch of the Flipgrid crew, meaning the product team as well as some awesome educators. And so we've got the Charlie Miller, Flipgrid founder, and he's going to talk about the Flipgrid community and remote learning. And then we've got the tag team duo of Kristen and Joe Merrill, some of the best Flipgrid educators on the planet. They're going to be showing and telling some of the cool stuff they've been doing. So really excited today for Team Flipgrid. Before we get started, a couple of our normal links we talk about. Here is the main Microsoft Education remote learning site. This is the front door to all of the things that we offer for the community and educators in schools for remote learning and Microsoft free products. There's also the Microsoft Teams Quick Start Guide, really great little PDF guide to get you up and running with Teams, and it's in bunches of languages. Just click that link to get your favorite language. And then if you haven't already, sign up for the Microsoft Education Remote Learning Community. That's where we have over 5,000 educators in schools from around the world collaborating, working together, learning from each other. And we also have the Microsoft product team in there helping out, helping get support, answering questions, and working alongside with educators. So please join that if you haven't already. So for today's updates, there's a theme. We've got it's like an Oreo cookie. There's like Flipgrid on the top and the bottom, and there's the white yummy stuff in the middle, which is the interactive class. So first off, Flipgrid for Families, if you haven't gone to their blog, all about the incredible stuff happening on how different families are using Flipgrid at home during this sheltering in place period that many of us are in. It's a great blog to start out. Also, the interactive class. I have this book. I bought it like the day it came out. But the Merrills, Kristen and Joe, wrote this really cool book on Elevate Publishing, Holly Clark's company. And so their book is out. So Joe and Kristen, surprise, I even made your own personal aka.ms link that you can do. It takes you right to Amazon if you want to get the book. And then also, if you haven't seen the new Flipgrid screen recording, it is pretty awesome. They have it in their latest newsletter. So record your screen in just a couple of seconds. Super easy. I've done it myself many times. Very excited about that one. So those are today's updates. And with that, I'm going to be turning it over to Mr. Charlie Miller. Now, I like to say Charlie is like one of the most incredible designers and has a great sense of taste. So when he sees slides like this from me, he's got to be like choking a little vomit on the inside because I'm like the anti-Charlie Miller. It's the worst design slide you're ever going to find. So Charlie, this is the bizarro world where we go from the worst slides to the best. So Charlie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Really excited to be here. Hold on one second. Let me just share my screen. You see my screen, Mike?
It's loading, and there it is.
There we go. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for having me here, Mike. So excited to be here as well with some good friends, Kristin and Joe Merrill, as well as Jess Boyce. Very excited to share with all of you a little bit about what's been going on in the Flipgrid world the last couple months. So first of all, my name is Charlie. I'm the founder of Flipgrid. My wife's name is Jill, and we have two kids. Our daughter Kira is 9 in 3rd grade, and our son Parker is 6. He's in kindergarten. And it just always snows in Minnesota. So this GIF is just pretty much always a perfect introduction. But before I jump into what's been going on at Flipgrid, I want to say a few thank yous. And these are so incredibly well-deserved. I tweeted this out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I think this is very true. And I talked to a lot of friends, talked to a lot of people at Microsoft, talked to a lot of educators. And if everyone in the world didn't already know it, I think they know it now, and every parent surely does, that educators truly are the most special and magnificent people in the world. So thank you, teachers, for all you do. Thank you, Joe and Kristen. Thank you for all you've done and all you continue doing to keep our kids and our learners everywhere on that learning path. We appreciate it so very much. I also want to send a shout out to Team Flipgrid in Minnesota, as well as some of our remote team members. From our support and experience team to our infrastructure team, keeping Flipgrid up and running every day, 24 hours a day, to all of our web and mobile teams. I just want to send a really, really big shout out. I am so incredibly proud to work with this team of amazing individuals each and every day. So thank you to them so much. And also, Mike, to you, Justin, Michelle, Ron, so many people across the Microsoft EDU team. I know the last 3 to 4 weeks have been 24 hours a day work, onboarding millions and millions of learners and educators and family members around the world. But I do think that applause is very, very well deserved for all of you. So congrats to everyone in the Microsoft EDU team. So for anyone on this webinar that's new to Flipgrid, which is actually still quite a few people, we're so incredibly excited that every day we have about 30 to 35,000 new educators signing up every single day and bringing their learners, bringing their families onto Flipgrid. I wanted to just start a little bit with our mission. And our mission is 100% our educators' mission, and that is to empower every learner on the planet to do two things: to share their voice and to respect the diverse voices of others. Because a really, really big part of student voice is also listening, and not just listening to jump right back into the conversation, listening to learn and listening to lead that conversation forward. And together on this mission, I really believe we are building global empathy. So for those of you, again, new to Flipgrid, you can just go to flipgrid.com and sign up. It's free for any educator in the world. And what you essentially do is you'll create a grid, and that's what you see on the right side of the screen. That grid is your classroom, and you can create a grid for all of your students if you're in elementary or early elementary, even middle school, or you can create grids for each one of your classrooms. And then it's very simple. In each grid, you post topics, and topics are essentially a very simple prompt of what your students are learning, doing, making, thinking, solving, watching, reading, building, singing, anything in the world that your students would love to share with you and their classroom community. That's what a topic is. Then students grab any device with the camera, whether it's an Android phone, iPhone, iPad, a Chromebook, a Surface tablet, any computer at home, and they tap the little green record button, and they share their incredible magic. We have a lot of different tools, I won't go into those now, that they can ink live while they're recording. They can pull up a whiteboard, they can bring out stickers and emoji. If they're a little bit nervous on camera, they can go into pixel mode or drag emojis over their face while they're talking. And we've tried to make it a really fun, simple, accessible, and engaging camera for those students to really enjoy sharing their voice. And then step 3, all the students can view each other's videos. You, the educator, are always in control. You can choose to moderate the videos. You can choose to release the videos over time. You can give feedback and rubrics and scores on the videos. And it really creates that thing that is needed more than ever right now, social presence. While we're all learning at home, it doesn't mean we can't share our ideas together. There's nothing to schedule. We don't have to be live on Flipgrid. And for 30 students to all record a minute video, it takes one collective minute to achieve that. The use cases across Flipgrid are truly endless. We didn't create this list. Our amazing educators around the world created this. But it's used as much in preschool as it is in high school, as it is at the PhD level. And what we see is in those earlier kind of elementary and middle school levels, it's a lot more reflecting in action, kind of their aha moments on learning, their book talks, their math talks, their science talks. When it gets to high school, it's a little bit more reflecting on action. They're reflecting on those projects, virtual art shows. We see lots of kind of peer reviews of student work at the high school level where they're critiquing each other's work and replying. And then in the university, it's that week by week reflection or office hours, or discussions of readings, study groups, etc. For the last month, we've been incredibly proud to be a very small part of what we can do to help all these families learning at home with their learners around the world. And it's really just been truly an honor and a privilege to see the Flipgrid global community grow. That for the last month, a new educator has been signing up every 3 seconds of every minute of every day. We've had about 30 to 35 million Flipgrid videos shared a day, and we're averaging about 35 to 40 years of student voice video shared on Flipgrid every single day. And again, that video is students sharing their aha moments, their thinking, their learning, what they're building at home, and sharing it with all their students and others in their classroom. Jess is on the meeting right now. We have 3 incredibly inspiring educators on our team, Jess, Ann, and Jornay. And again, I can't applaud the Flipgrid team enough. Each team on our incredible team is doing everything they can to support our educators, our families, our learners, our schools. That Jess, Ann, and Jornay are doing a live webinar PD session every single day. It's very simple just on how to sign up to Flipgrid, create your first grid, and post that first topic. And you can see the link right here if you go to blog.flipgrid.com/flipgridpd. So definitely check those out. And one of the coolest things about working at Flipgrid, we started Flipgrid in 2012. So we've been working on it for about 8 years. And the community has grown so large and so loud and so innovative that all we have to do is listen. And this is an acronym that's used in every one of our team's channels every day is y'all, is you ask, we listen. And this is, like I said, such a privilege as someone building software to just simply listen to their community, listen to the needs, listen to those echoes, and continue building forward. In the last couple of weeks, we've launched 2 very simple but very powerful updates driven by the community. One was to lift the maximum for our Flipgrid video responses from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. You told us you wanted to have those book talks and those larger or longer guided instructions for your class. So for us to up that, we need to make sure we created a few new workers in the server that make it more efficient. And kudos to Patrick and Bryce and Shao and Dan and Kevin on our API team for getting that one out the door. But also, we heard you loud and clear. You wanted screen recording in Flipgrid that when students are at home, they can record their screen, they can explain what they're building in other platforms, record their Minecraft game, and they can actually record it, submit it into the Flipgrid camera, and again, make that available to everyone in the class. Also, we welcomed 3 new members to our team about a month before the current COVID crisis and pandemic kind of came into the world. And this is Bobby George, Angela Tawalt, and Connor Burtis. And these are 3 individuals that have been actually building activities for family learning for the past 10 years. You might know them. They created the amazing Montessorium apps for early learners. They created the Primary Parent Guide. It's an app that helps parents every day. And we asked them, you know what, can we work with the Microsoft team and create a very quick family learning portal? This was about a month ago, that we can get up with very simple activities that engage students in the classroom. And in 2 days, they work with the Microsoft Education team and launch what you can see here on the screen. It's aka.ms/family learning. You can go check it out. And there's amazing activities that are being added every week. And then we asked them, can you do it again for Flipgrid? And from ages 3 to 18, can you create the Flipgrid Activity Center? Which is about 50 to 60 simple activities, as you can see on the screen: race car creator, meet an artist, making mummies, that are simple topics, all have topics in the Discovery Library that you can add to your grid today and get your students speaking while at home. But lastly, I just want to share a few really amazing stories from our community. Again, we absolutely love our global community of educators, learners, and families that when we listen to these truly impactful stories, we love to engage them, amplify them, and empower them into other classrooms. The daily check-ins have been a huge success. Creating a grid, a new topic for every single day, or you know what, just a daily check-in topic, and have your students every morning come check in, every day at the end, come check in, share what they learned. Hugely popular. Flipgrid birthdays have been trending for about a month right now. These are grids with a grid for Flipgrid birthdays for the classroom, a topic for every student that might have had a birthday in the last month. There's probably gonna in the next month or so when we might still be at home. And it's just letting everyone in the class, the family, come in, celebrate, and sing happy birthday to that kid. The morning announcements, Steve Dunham kind of, I think, pioneered this one, having the principals, having the teachers come on, sharing in a morning announcements topic that all the families can listen to the principal, share those very valuable morning announcements each and every day. To virtual pet parades, I love these. We've seen thousands of topics like this shared on social media, where all the learners in the class are sharing everything from their fish to their dog to their cat, or even a little brother or sister if they don't have a pet at home, and just introducing the family and better connecting the families to the school when they're not there. We've seen lots of school talent shows. Carla shared this about a month ago, where they're having not only the entire class, but a grid for the whole school, and all the students come on and share their magic and share their talents, and they're singing, they're dancing, they're doing juggling, and all the families can participate. So incredibly cool. Our good friend Joe, you'll hear about more of Joe's magic here in a few minutes when I pass this over to him and his wife, Kristen. He just created an open topic called The Playground, just so that students could socialize. They can share a little bit what they're doing every day. It's a little bit different than the daily check-in because it's a little bit more informal, but we absolutely love seeing this, Joe. And then a few that have really been prevalent in the media. Melissa Hayes created this one about a month ago as well. She had a masked singer grid where all her students would cover up their video with an emoji and they'd sing, and the students would have to guess who it is. And then we had schools in New York take it to that next level where all the educators are singing masked, and then the students will vote the bottom three out, and then those educators have to unmask and show who they were. This made a lot of media recently, and this is really, really cool, really, really fun way to engage not only the learners, but all the families at home. So proud of this. We saw this on Twitter about 3 weeks ago. The Special Olympics in Texas went fully virtual, and keeping all of their inspiring athletes connected and championing one another and sharing their events and their sports and their practice and their training at home, and truly virtually continuing to champion one another. And we look forward to working with other Special Olympics groups across the U.S. and around the world that have been reaching out. And again, I'm just so very proud to see Flipgrid used in this way. And then lastly, Newcastle University in Wales tweeted this one out about 2 weeks ago. Newcastle University had 239 new doctors graduate, and it was the first virtual graduation ceremony for their university, but also one of the world's first virtual collective Hippocratic oath, where all 239 doctors hopped on Flipgrid. They each shared that Hippocratic oath, and then the university displayed that to everyone in the public across the country and around the world, that we could be really proud of these doctors as they the next day go out in the field and give that very much needed help that we all need. And lastly, we've been seeing lots of graduation prep on Flipgrid. So we tried to take the best of your ideas and start putting them into a single post. If you go to our blog, blog.flipgrid.com, you can see some of the new graduation grids and topics about sharing memories from the year, what you're most hopeful for in the future, and so on. But last but not least, when it comes from career days to science fairs to music performances, teacher family nights, student council, senior prom on Flipgrid, we've seen people planning this, family cultural shared stories. It's really those simple shared connections that matter most. And as Jess says at the top, I spent time watching my student Flipgrid videos about what they're reading at home and leaving them video responses. I have a feeling those minutes were better spent that way than worrying about creating the perfect online assignments. It was so good for the soul. And again, this makes me tear up and gives me goosebumps, that just to know Flipgrid is out there being good for people's souls and connecting them in a time of need. You have 40 people here in Minnesota and 150,000 people at Microsoft around the world that are just cheering all of you on so very loudly. So lastly, before I kick it over to Kristen and Joe, what's coming? We are building forward. Our team is working 24 hours a day to make sure that we can support all of you and your learners and your families and your schools. But at the same time, just like you're pushing forward, we are building forward. Every year, we have a magical event called Flipgrid Live, where we bring about 1,000 educators together. The mission of that event is very simple. It's to celebrate educators, celebrate the events of the year, and to launch the whole new Flipgrid. And we're going to keep it going. Somehow, we're going to figure out how to do this. But on June 29th, at 7 p.m. Central Time, we are going to host Flipgrid Live from here in Minnesota virtually. And we hope that all of you around the world can check it out, join in. And again, this is not only about the new Flipgrid, this is about celebrating you and celebrating the year in review and all the special things that you've done for students. So definitely dress loud, join in. We have a lot of fun things on Twitter planned during the event for you to participate, and we can't wait to see it come together. So I'm going to unshare my screen here, but I want to kick it over to two of my really great friends. We've been friends for, it feels like 4 or 5 years now, maybe longer. Kristin and Joe Merrill, two amazing, inspiring educators out of Naples, Florida, that also gave me the privilege of writing the foreword for their new book, The Interactive Class, that honestly, I just think it is a guide for awesomeness in the classroom. Very simple, practical, things that you can implement that next day in your class, whether it's virtual, at home, or face-to-face. And Kristen and Joe, we love you so much, and I am so excited to be on this webinar with you. So I'm going to jump back over. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to mute my mic. Let's see if this works, and I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for, you guys see our screen? All right.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to state for the record that I am not on the controls right now. I was getting flack for that earlier. I'm Kristen. I'm a 4th grade English language arts teacher.
I'm Joe. I'm a 1st grade teacher.
And collectively, we go by the Merrills. As Charlie did say, we were so honored and lucky that he agreed to forward our book, which we did co-author together. And yes, we still are married.
Yeah, it was definitely the perfect pick. Charlie did an awesome job, and I couldn't think of a better person to launch it. So
yeah,
thank you, Charlie.
We're very excited to share Flipgrid today.
Yeah, absolutely. So first up, we've got some ways that we can talk about using Flipgrid with remote learning.
And yeah, why it's our favorite. I think we have to say it's equitable for everyone. So this first slide, we just wanted to say that, you know, people have been asking us constantly, what are apps that are using? What are you choosing to use for remote learning? And Flipgrid is the #1 we say ultimately for a list of reasons.
Yeah, it's a great platform to start with. You know, it's comfortable for all ages. So even if you're working with those, like as Charlie mentioned, those pre-K kids all the way up to university level, they can connect and they can do things on Flipgrid easily. So
yeah, and it's free, which Charlie mentioned. We also, as educators, love the fact that immersive reader is embedded into it. So whether you're working with little kids who maybe just can't read very well, English language learners, students with, I like to say exceptionalities, but all sorts of, it's perfect. And immersive reader, it has immersive reader in it.
And it connects students too, which is important, you know, and that's huge right now with remote learning, because as Charlie mentioned, you know, that's something that our kids really need to make sure that they're doing is connecting with one another and with their educators. So Flipgrid is a great tool for that.
It's accessible on multiple platforms, as Charlie did say, and for us, it's asynchronous, which in our district, we don't do a ton of live things because kids can't always get on and at the same times or have access at the same time. So it's like a really cool way of being live without being live and allowing kids to access your lessons when they have time to.
Right.
So one of the things that we love as educators in Flipgrid is using the shorts camera. And I can't even count now how many different phone calls and like web tutorials we've had with our fellow educators teaching them how to use the shorts camera. A lot of educators don't know that the shorts camera is actually available on the dashboard and you can record right in it and then embed those videos into other platforms, like we use Canvas and we use Teams. And so you can still use all of those great features from the camera to create lessons.
So the sticker feature is also really handy, especially when it comes to using things like anchor charts. You can use your anchor charts that you have downloaded to your device, upload them as a PNG or as a JPEG file, and then they hover right above your video. So you can actually do the talking and kind of resort back to it, and it works as a great tool to use as instruction.
You can use one like I did, you can use two, and so it's great because combined with some of the other features which we're going to talk about, you can put together really quality lessons from far away, you know, not with your kids,
right.
But that feels as much as home as you can.
Screen recording has been huge. That's been a great addition to Flipgrid because, especially in the time that we're in now with remote learning, because you're able to now have Flipgrid as a one-stop shop. Everything that you need to get going for remote learning is right there embedded into Flipgrid's platform. And so you can start by screen recording, launch your lessons, get going right with your instruction right within Flipgrid.
Yeah, and we're going to keep talking about all the different tools meshed up, but I love to use this with the pause feature. So I'll have an anchor chart and I'll teach my lesson and then I'll pause it. And then I'll start again and I'll give directions for the activity and then I'll launch into Teams and show my kids what we're working on and then I'll pause it and then I'll come back to the regular shorts and I can do all of that in one video rather than having to put a bunch of little ones together.
Yeah, it's a great way to model your directions. The text feature is also very handy.
I do like the text.
Yeah, you can add text right over the top of your videos. This is really handy, especially if educators or kids that are doing it, they're able to add this right on the top of their videos, explain their thinking on a whole different level. Educators are able to add text to kind of make the video stand out and draw attention to the kids.
Good for primary students when they may not get lost, especially if you're like this one here, parent alert with a child in this class. And he does everything on Flipgrid. It's really helpful because then if you have 5 videos logged in for that day, they can find just through the picture even what you're talking about. I teach multiple classes, so I like to use the text feature to kind of differentiate. We were doing read alouds and differentiate between the two classes and even though it's in the directions, the pictures, they're more motivated.
Yeah, and then they can't forget what subject you're learning about, right?
For sure. And then the other one, I wish I could have embedded the video, but it was a really neat use of the text feature for a child who didn't like to be on the screen. And they wrote all of the things that they were talking about. So there's my ELA. We're talking about cliffhangers and suspense. And they wrote everything out and they would pause it. Then they'd write more and then I'd pause it on top of it. And it was like this visual, like, production, but you never saw her face.
So like it overlapped.
And then she was talking over the words as they were coming in, explaining them. It was so cool. So it's just another neat use of the text feature that I hadn't really seen before.
It was almost like animated text.
It was literally, she was taking full advantage of the editing tools in Flipgrid.
Sharing links is huge with Flipgrid because you can share external things like PowerPoint, for example. So if you have your students working on things like that in the class, they can share it directly to their videos, and it's attached to the videos where other kids can click on it. It's an external source for them to go into and then examine and go in further into what they're talking about.
Yeah, because it's important still to make learning authentic and for students to be able to share what they're creating and what they're doing. So this is our son who's in my class this year, and we were working in teams and doing an assignment. It was a collage, and then he brought that over to Flipgrid to explain his thinking for his reading assignment, but then he could then share it with everybody else. And so you can put the links in that way. You can also do it. I've had grids where I've just asked the kids, like, what do you want to read about? Like, what do you want to infuse some inquiry right now? This is a great time. You didn't hear it from me, but a lot of states don't have any like testing or anything right now. So it's a great time just to be creative and to do some things in our classroom that maybe we wouldn't be doing otherwise. And so I asked my kids, like, what do you want to learn about? And in their response, like our son said, I want to learn about Fortnite and video games. I could reply to him, and I could also attach a link in that reply. And so then it was a way to kind of continue the learning and continue, but make it more individualized. And there's a lot of really cool, I've seen people put docs on there and like add comments to kids, like almost like critiques and comments to their work. There's so many great ways to use it. But it is a feature that I think some people don't realize is there, and it's a powerful one.
Yeah, it's often overlooked because you just go right from your display name, and usually for the most part you just hit submit video. But it's right there, and it's definitely powerful, and we recommend checking it out.
I've seen it's one I've been using.
So I can't say for sure where this idea originally came from. Charlie probably could answer that, but this idea has been around for a while. The whole use of the pause feature. So in this particular example, this was a little bit of crafty editing done by our 6-year-old who's in my class, and he was doing a project where he was asking and answering questions about LeBron James, and so he was interviewing LeBron James. So on the left side of that first picture, that's him, and then as the one in the middle, obviously, is LeBron James. Notice the water cup is strategically placed as well. And so, he was recording the question, pausing it, changing his outfit, answering the question, pausing it, and then going back and forth and back and forth. And it was just a really clever use of the pause feature. And this idea has been around for a while. He certainly wasn't the first one that came up with it, but we just love sharing ideas like that because it just shows that kids, even as young as that, can do it. And he figured that out. I didn't tell him how to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a great use of the built-in features that are already in Flipgrid.
I mean, obviously teachers use it to edit and make videos, but when students figure out ways to use it, it's even better.
It's really, really cool.
All right, so the recording time, as Charlie mentioned, is something that I have been using a lot of. I will admit, when I let my students record responses back, I tend to keep it short and sweet. But the screen up here is one of the ways that we've been using this extended time in our own classroom. That's my co-teacher, Mrs. Stafford, who I miss. Seeing her picture up here makes me so emotional. And she and I have been creating all of our lessons for our kids. And one of the things that she realized really quick is online textbooks are no fun. And so now what she does is she does an experiment a day, and she does it live right in Flipgrid. She uses the features. Like yesterday, she did something that was not really dangerous, but it had like wording, it had like music on it for the kids, and she uses all those features that we talked about, the pause and the anchor charts, and she does these experiments live. And it's my older son, it's one of his favorite things to go on to see what experiment she's going to do. And because she has that 10-minute window, she has the ability to do the whole experiment, or sometimes she'll like do part of it and then like they have to hypothesize, and then the next day she releases. But however you choose to do it, there are some things that require more time, and it may be on the teacher end rather than the student end. But this was just a really clever way that I've personally seen it being used.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of his favorite parts of the day.
It is. He loves it. Can you hear?
Sure, yeah. So next we have, well, this is an extended version of that. So for daily read alouds, this is something that if you did it with Flipgrid before, you had to do it under 5 minutes, and you'd have to do it in small chunks. But now with a 10-minute feature open and available, this has been huge and so timely, because now what we can do is we can deliver that kind of instruction to our students, again, all in one place. So it's been really powerful to be able to have everything under the same house, and to deliver that content in larger chunks. It's just been really, really powerful, and you can attach it right to your topic.
Yeah, and I use this image too because I do it a little bit differently. So I wanted to show people that there actually are 2 ways you can do it. You can record your video right in the read aloud, the topic feature, up to 10 minutes. Or if you look at mine, I actually have a blue hyperlink, which I linked outwards because I like to use the topic features to give directions to my kids, because even though I have them all neatly placed and there's all those emojis, they don't read it. And so I like to have myself giving the direction. So there's even multiple ways to use this extended time. But for a lot of educators, plop that read aloud right in there. I know from telling my kids, I'm talking to them just last week, I didn't do it this week, and they were so mad at me. They're like, what? Yeah. And I didn't even realize how much they were enjoying it and enjoying the discussion with each other. So science experiments and read alouds are just 2 of the ways that I've been using that extended time this week that I've seen, really meaningful interest with. So we're just going to jump through a couple of really quick ways that you could use Flipgrid in the shorts camera in different subject areas.
So for ELA, for reading, for example, one of the things that we work on a lot in primary is retelling the story, and what's retelling the main events and things like that. So you can definitely do that within Flipgrid. Just use the emojis that are built in. Have the kids go on, use the stickers that are on there, and then put that basically the main idea of what's in the story, which is a really powerful thing to do. You can also compare and contrast book characters kind of the same way.
Well, we did that in my class, but we actually used the pause feature and the text feature, and they had to do adjectives around the character, and then we had silhouettes, and then they would pause it, and then they'd go to the next character. You could do it that way. You could do graphic organizers. A great thing about Flipgrid is you can literally do it on a piece of paper and video the piece of paper. You don't have to, so there's so many different ways to facilitate that lesson. Read alouds we just talked about, and then book commercials are really fun. The kids can hold up the book. They can use the sticker feature on the book and hold it up. So just some really great ways to share what they're reading while they're at home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lessons of math are super simple in Flipgrid. There's things like, would you rather, like, for example, I'm thinking like.
Be nice.
What did you think I was
I don't know, but you had that look.
Would you rather be on Mr. Merrill's team or Mrs. Merrill's team? No.
Would you rather math is actually in the Disco library, which we're going to talk about. But, it's a great way to just to kind of debate things. Not necessarily what's the one right answer, but why would you do it this way or this way, and how did you show your work? Which isn't kind of number talks is like a primary version of that.
But both of those things really open up the door to some really higher level thinking, because it gets the kids talking to each other, and then you start to see, one level up, one level up, one level up. So that's really powerful. I should have put a picture, because there is a feature in the Flipgrid, the whiteboard, blackboard. Right.
So they could write, and they can live ink, or they can use emojis, they can talk, and so the whiteboard, blackboards is great for math.
And even if you use the sticker emojis as manipulatives, like if you were saying, okay, 2 smiley faces plus 2 suns equals whatever 4, and that would be a great way to go about using it in primary.
Or those really cool math codes where the different emojis are different amounts, and then the kids have to try to decipher them.
Figure out which,
that one's been fun too.
The sun is worth 10, and the
don't tell them.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, but you don't tell them. All right, so lesson ideas in science. I already talked about the first one. You could do a live experiment or do just like a hypothesis. I thought it'd be even fun, because we're always about students creating, is letting the students give them an experiment and let them video themselves as they're doing it. And then they can talk about, well, when I did it, mine didn't bubble as high as Joe's did. Why? I wonder why. And you could almost flip it. So the teacher could do it, or the students could. Our teacher this week, I don't know if our son's listening, but they're doing something with bubble gum and math, and she's having them chew 3 different types of bubble gum, and so they're actually going to do the same experiment as she is. On Flipgrid. Outdoor scavenger hunts.
Yeah, we did this. We were looking into living and non-living things, and so we just had the kids walk outside and just circle in a video in real time some things that were living and some things that were non-living. Super simple and easy, but so engaging.
You could do colors, you could do shapes,
yeah,
change all sorts of things.
Yeah, change the colors even too, from livings in blue, non-livings in red.
Because not like Minneapolis where it's probably snowing. Down here it's 105 degrees. But if you have seasons, you could do changing of the seasons, or a stem building challenge. We've done this in our class, where we just give a certain couple items or whatever the parameters are, and just see what the kids can build and let them share their failures, what went well, what didn't go so well. Let them redo it, right? Revise their thinking and just have it open for a long time. And then every days, I think Charlie talked a lot about this, like daily check-ins, birthday celebrations. Positive messages is a good one that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Just sharing like one highlight from the day, like something that you can be thankful for, something that like a silver lining kind of a thing, you know, just to kind of keep encouraging our kids. And you know, it's really easy to focus on the struggles. Our parents are always at work or not at work, or I'm struggling with the teacher, and so try to focus on some of those positive things.
Yeah, I mean, even for the educator themselves, you know, kind of like what Charlie had mentioned before, it's just good to see your kids in that format, you know, and so it really is uplifting.
And show and tell is just fun.
Yeah.
That was just a fun one. Now, if you're new to Flipgrid, the Flipgrid Disco Library, we couldn't talk about you know, for educators without mentioning this. So the Disco Library is where you can go to get a lot of the topics that we've talked about are in there.
Right.
And you can just take them and you click send to, and it goes to your own grid, and then you can obviously edit it if you need to change the parameters or the time or the recording length or anything, and then you can push it right out to your grid pretty quick.
Yeah, and there's tons of stuff on there, and it's all grade level appropriate. So like if you're looking for things, subject, yeah. So if you're looking for something specifically for 3rd grade, it's there. If you're totally confused about anything with Flipgrid, don't worry, they've got you covered too. Recently, we were very fortunate to take over the Flipgrid YouTube channel, so there's tons of resources there available for
daily.
you.
Yeah.
And the idea was to build videos that were very brief and short, so that way you could get the point across quickly and get started and getting creative with the content.
Yeah, so head there.
Head over to flipgrid.com/youtube.com/flipgrid, and you'll see everything pop up.
It's all on a playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are going to stop sharing our screen, but wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to share, and please connect with us if you are an educator new to Flipgrid, because we would love to help you on your journey.
Wow. You know, I don't think there was enough creativity in there, Charlie. I think there needs to be more. I didn't get enough awesome ideas from what they just showed. Like, come on, guys, step it up. I'm telling you. Wow. My brain is having to like sparkle down seeing all the cool stuff. I'm going to chillax it a little bit. So that is amazing. Awesome stuff. And thank you both for coming on here and sharing all the great things you're doing, because I think, as Charlie would tell you, I lose track of the number of educators every microsecond that are signing up, but there's a lot of people who trying to figure out what and how to do. And I think all the work that you've been doing is awesome for the community and all the other people out there who are trying to come. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen and Joe.
Yes, and thank you, Charlie. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for putting these on, Mike. These are super inspiring for educators everywhere, man. These are awesome.
Great, thanks. That's what we like to hear. So, a recap of the updates from today. We've got the Flipgrid for families, the blog, and some of the stuff that Charlie was talking about. We've got the interactive class. So if you liked what you just saw from the Merrills, you're going to want this book because it's got that plus a whole lot more. And then the Flipgrid screen recording, which was referenced a little bit, that's out now and it's available to use. And so we totally encourage people to check that out. And then to wrap up, we'll be posting. Charlie's gonna, the anti-mic slides, which means they're amazing. Charlie's slides will appear in the deck that we'll post tomorrow morning. And this YouTube video will show up on our playlist, which is out there. And we have a whole playlist of all 20 plus webinars we've done so far. So please check those out and check this out when it comes out. And then we've got our support. So anytime you need help, need to phone a friend, we've got the EDU support team right here. And there are real people there who can help answer your questions and get back to you and help get you on your way if you have a problem. So please use that. And then coming up, future webinars. Tomorrow, we've got the E-Twins, who I think a lot of folks out there probably know. We've got Alberto and Mario as they're coming and talking about actually teams OneNote and Flipgrid. That sounds like a trifecta right there to me. And then we've got community well-being and social emotional learning. We've got Mark Sparvell and Christy Kelly talking about that super important topic. Charlie referenced that a little bit too. And then support for families and supporting learners. So we've got a couple of parents who are going to be on the show and talking just about family life during remote learning. And we've also got Joe Brazier from the Microsoft Education team who's a former special education teacher before he came to Microsoft. That's going to be on Thursday. So a lot of great stuff. Our full webinar schedule is below. And then other than that, thank you very much for Meyerline behind the scenes as our producer and helping out, and Charles as well. And we will see you soon.